DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it's raining. Yeah, it's actually raining on my phone. Let me see if I can get somewhere where, well, I guess there is no place that I can go where it won't rain. So I'll just probably stay around here. Oh, I was checking out was it last week or early this week? I guess it was last week. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But I saw that there was two well-known for Canadians, or French Canadians, maybe Canadians, who passed away very recently. One was, if you're my age, or in your 60s, and lived in Canada, you might remember Ed Broadbent, who was at the time the head of the NDP, which was probably as close as Canada ever had to a socialist party, and that was up to probably Justin Trudeau. But anyway, that's completely utter discussion. And then there was in the Quebec circles a very controversial psychiatrist that was known as Doc Mayu, a one-legged, bearded, crazy man who always told things as he thought they were, as he thought everybody else should think they were, and he was very, very amusing at points. So he passed away this week as well. And so I watched a YouTube video which was kind of I was just going to say kind of a tribute and recall or recap of Doc Mayu's life, because he used to have radio shows and stuff like that. And listening to the people speak, and like these were people that were sometimes good old working class people, and just listening to the language, to the accents and everything, and brought me back very quickly to when I was living in Quebec, so in French Canada. I'd get in trouble even saying that over there. And I was thinking, this is the language and the accents of my youth. Now, it kind of got me thinking about different things, because I was realizing that when I was living in a village at the time, because we were brought up in a small village. The village where my parents and myself were born was a place called Abercorn, which still to today I think has just about 300, population of 300 or something like that. And Sutton, which had a ski center, well, now they've kind of made it so it looks bigger, because they've taken the countryside. But at the time when I was a kid, it was less than 3,000. It was probably around 3,000 people. So it was just barely between what they call the village and the town. But I'm bringing that because I remember when we moved from the village, and my dad had to change jobs, so we moved near Montreal, and not very far from the suburbs of Montreal, on the South Shore. And I just remember how I felt at the time. It was like already the accents were different. People would take you for hicks already. And I remember when we were living in the village, whenever we had these people coming over to us, we call them les gens de la ville, the people from the town, from the city people, with as much condescension in our voices as they had for us. But still, there were things like that I realized that my generation was probably the first generation where many of us actually went to higher schooling, and I do mean past high school. When my mom was, my mom had a high school diploma, and I remember at the time how people would say, oh, well, your mom's educated. She's got a high school diploma. Because most people didn't. And yet now, the people that were my age, most of us were at university or went to university or higher. Well, we didn't have higher technical schools like you would have here in different countries. But it was impressive. But then I go back to where I'm at university. And everybody that's at university, like think of my classes in university, there weren't any, or there were very, very few silver spoons. What I mean by that, like we maybe had a few people that were, the children of some MD or a notary or a lawyer, but they were really the exception. So we were I'm almost going to say a bunch of hicks together, but I guess you understand what I mean. It was an interesting time in life. Now, when we finished our degrees, so the group that we were that finished our degrees, one of the people in my I was going to say my PhD group was him and his wife were both the sons and daughters of neurosurgeons, as much as I remember. And we had went to their wedding, and it was like upper high class in Quebec City, Lévis actually. And just looking at all that was going around, and all the valets and butlers and stuff. And I remember I was with my other friend who was an orphan, and we were like looking at it and saying like, wow, there are people that really live like this? Okay, so then we all go off. So this friend of mine, he goes off to Boston, Cambridge, MIT, where I almost went. That's another story. And he's in an Ivy League part of the world. Everybody over there was like, a lot of people over there, were very high class, if you understand what I mean. And us little country boys were like, wow, once again, there really are people like this. And it was at times, very difficult, to find your footing. I went off on my postdoc. We went to Oxford. And our friends in Oxford had what you call the town and gown. That was quite different to some universities. So Oxford was in a town which had Morris, the Morris automobiles. So there was a very large working class there. But so that's the town. And then there was all the academics, which were the gown. But our friends over there, because of our church and so on, were essentially town, with some in the gown part. But when I was at the university, I must admit that it was like, first off, we're talking about England with different accent completely. We're talking about a very posh way of speaking compared to my Canadian English. And it was, once again, what a cultural shock. Not just leaving the country, because you can go and leave a country and visit, but being accepted as a respected person over there was not self-evident. Yeah. Why? Because, once again, as many things in the world, class defines if you're good or not. And it was easy for people to see that we were not from the same class. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there. I'm coming up to 10 minutes. I'm going to try and continue this vlog in another video at one point, probably on the weekend. But, tell me about some of your experiences when you've all of a sudden realized, wow, this is not what I knew as a child. Well, I'll get back to that. TC signing off. Take care for this teaser video. Take care. Bye-bye.